Let's jump right into the Carolina Panthers mock draft. This released over the weekend at Pro Football Network. I know Ollie Hodgkinson did this mock draft. And interesting enough here for this Carolina Panthers team, I think initially for us coming into it, our thought process is, what do they need? Well, we've always talked about quarterback. They're not sold on Sam Darnold. However, they're paying him $18 million this year to be their quarterback. So obviously, if you go with a rookie guy, he probably isn't going to start for you here in 2022 if you're the Carolina Panthers. However, in round one, pick number 6, Ollie has them taking Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State, which is interesting. And I know before we went on air, you had said something like, hey, that's nice. My only thing is looking at quarterback of the future or defense. I would have had it in my head to figure out how did the board fall before this that led to Charles Cross being the pick. But first, what are your thoughts on Charles Cross here at number 6 for the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, well, Charles Cross in a vacuum, I love the dude. He's a great prospect. I mean, you look at his length, his athleticism. I feel like those are the first things that show up when you watch him on tape, is that he's extremely spry from a lateral standpoint, which not all offensive linemen can say that for themselves. But he's also very good at recovering. I think he might be the best tackle with recovery in this class, where if he does get beat a little bit with power, if he gets worked off balance, very good at springing back and recoiling back into form and reestablishing that anchor. He's got great hands for his age. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's wise beyond his years in that usage aspect, but also the physical traits, the athleticism, the length. I'd like him to get a little bit stronger. He is a little leaner than you'd like for his size, but I think all the bedrock traits are there for him to be a quality left tackle. And you look at Taylor Matan on the right side, could provide you a very good duo. You talk about quarterback, and I think that's the tricky part with the Carolina Panthers is that, Matt Rhule seems like he's in a really tough situation here. 5 wins.
Make or break year for him.
Exactly. Make or break year. Here's the thing. Do you feel comfortable with a make or break year with Sam Darnold? I don't. But do you also feel comfortable with a rookie quarterback? I don't really feel that either. So he's kind of between a rock and a hard place here. So at the end of the day, do you want to try? Because here's the thing. Maybe you get Charles Cross in there, you have a bad season, but you got CJ Stroud and Bryce Young next year. So I don't know. Sure. A lot of aspects to look at here. But the bottom line is, if you're the Panthers, they're just in a bad situation. You're not going to feel 100% good about anything they do in round one, I feel like.
I think the interesting thing too is we don't necessarily know what they really got out of last year's draft, because J.C. Horn was injured pretty early on. Brady Christensen, do they now move him? If they do go Charles Cross, they try to move him from tackle maybe to a guard spot, try to give him a little bit of depth. Terrence Marshall didn't necessarily do all that much playing alongside Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. Do we see him get more involved? Tommy Tremble, the tight end, he got some flashy plays coming out of there, but it wasn't like the Carolina Panthers really targeted the tight end position too much. Even when they have Dan Arnold, they didn't do too much, and we saw him kind of go to the Jacksonville Jaguars and really kind of flourish down there. So I think it's a really interesting thing with the Carolina Panthers. And also, they don't have a pick in rounds 2 or round 3. Yeah. So that first round selection they make is going to be pivotal. I could absolutely see a quarterback if Malik Willis kind of fell to them. I think Sauce Gardner, if he comes there, I think that makes a lot of sense. But obviously, offensive line, we know how critical the trenches are, regardless of who is under center. And Ollie keeps this trend going here in round 4 with getting one of my favorite stories that came out of the NFL Combine, and that is Cam Jerkins, the center out of Nebraska. If you guys watch the coverage, they really made a point of talking about this. Cam Jerkins, his nickname is Beef Jerky. The guy makes and sells his own beef jerky. I actually showed it here on stream where I bought 3 bags of it. Stuff was phenomenal. I can't actually believe that I lasted long enough to be able to show, because I had to wait a couple days to kind of do this. Tell me about your thoughts on Cam Jerkins and how you think he's going to fit in here playing the center position for the Carolina Panthers next year.
Yeah, and obviously real quick on the note on the quarterback before we move on, I do think if you draft a QB in round 1, like you said, they don't have a second or third, so they don't really have as much draft capital as you'd like to have to support that rookie quarterback. So, at the end of the day, it's never a bad idea to strengthen the trenches. I love Charles Cross in round 1, and if you can get Cam Jerkins at that point, I'm a huge fan of that too. He's a top 100 prospect for me. He can improve his play strength, obviously not the longest guy, but I look at him as kind of a baby Linderbaum in this class, both zone-oriented centers, but I do think that Jerkins moves extremely well in space. You look at his athleticism. When he came to Nebraska, I think he was an H-back, a fullback, right? He put on weight and actually moved to the center of the line and became that fulcrum, and then had a really nice 2021 season where that mobility, that ability to kind of move up and climb the second level and kind of move from block to block, he shows that. But he's also very physical, very tenacious with his mentality as a blocker. Again, the play strength I think could improve. Some technical refinement is still there, but the athleticism is nearly unmatched in this class. And I think he's a really underrated center, especially if you're running zone concepts. I feel like he's a phenomenal fit for you.
And if I believe right, I think he actually almost reset the record for in RAS as terms of centers go.
Yeah.
Came in at a 9.94 in the relative
I'm a
athletic
rasshole,
score.
baby.
Yeah, so you want an athletic center. He definitely fits the mold.
There is that too. And, we talked about cornerback. Tommy mentioned, obviously, their pick of J.C. Horn. Last year, they traded for Stephon Gilmore, who's in free agency. And obviously, that didn't really kind of pan out for Carolina here. So they go and they add a cornerback in this year's draft. And in round 5, pick number 144, they address cornerback with back-to-back Nebraska picks. Cam Taylor Britt, cornerback out of Nebraska. How might he come in and fit into this defense right away? And as you mentioned, there is a lot riding on Matt Rhule this season. You got to win or else it's over. You're not getting the 7-year plan that he had hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Taylor Britt, especially if you can get him that late, is a very good value deal for providing that immediate impact. I think with Taylor Britt, you look at the athleticism. They obviously valued that with J.C. Horn last year. I think Taylor Britt has it. Not quite to the degree that Horn had it, but he's very explosive, very fast. I think he ran the 4.3s at the NFL Combine. That shows up on tape, that closing speed. And he plays very fast, too. It's one thing to run fast, but playing fast kind of compounds that for you. And Taylor Britt, a very fast-paced, energetic defender. The one thing that I love about him, too, is that, he's not the most fluid guy. That's one area of concern with his tape. Sometimes on those in-breaking routes, especially, his hips can lock up and he doesn't lower as much as he needs to get that sharp transition. But I do think he's versatile in that he can line up at the boundary. You can put him in the slot. You could even rotate him up at safety, and he can be good there with his, ability to close and hit guys. And he's phenomenal in run support, tackling downhill, then also has ball skills when he's exploding, closing on plays in the air. So I think there's a lot of utility here. Maybe not with the fluidity, maybe not the absolute ceiling that a guy like Horn has. But again, you got a versatile, athletic player who plays fast, plays intelligent. If you can get him this late, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of being versatile, guys who can play multiple positions just make them more valuable to your team. And right here in round 5, pick 149, Ollie is going once again with another versatile player, this time at offensive line once again, with Jamari Saylor, the guard out of Georgia. Spent a little bit of time playing left tackle and then transitioned to Ali Hazem right here, transition over to guard. Do you like this fit of him moving into guard, playing more interior for the Carolina Panthers?
Oh, yeah, I think he fits phenomenally at guard. I think that's where he moves to the next level because at left tackle, you saw he's not a tremendous lateral athlete, and part of that, he had trouble recovering at times, but he's got a dense, low center of gravity with his frame, really good proportional length, really, really good power capacity with his punches, and he's a physical dude. So I think, honestly, he's one of those guys who he played tackle at the collegiate level, but you can tell he's going to be a guard. And I think he can be a good one because, again, laterally, not super good, but he has that straight line explosiveness. Get him in a phone booth and let him work. I love that fit for them.
Yeah, and coming up here with the rest of the draft.
Board,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say developmental pieces across the board, which is great on the offensive line.
Yeah, I was just sitting here bringing up the rest of the draft. In round 6, you have them bring up Ollie Hazem, get him another quarterback right here in E.J. Perry, the quarterback out of Brown, and then anything up with Chance Campbell, the linebacker out of Mississippi, with pick 245 in the 7th round to close out the Carolina Panthers draft.
I would not be a fan of these picks that they have. I mean, from round 1, from pick 6 to pick, 107, that's such a huge, significant gap and missing out on key players where you really rounds 4 through 5 are kind of a crapshoot. You never know how they're going to turn out. So Carolina Panthers fans, let us know how you feel about this mock draft down below. What are your thoughts? What would you have done differently? Let us know here on youtube.com/Pro Football Network.